Listen, I want to share a stat that I heard the other day, and it's 82% of Americans are working at jobs that they don't like, that they absolutely hate. That means they're spending 40, 50 hours away from their family, away from their purpose. And I want to talk to you and how you can get out of the rat race, step out of your comfort zone, and walk into your calling with confidence and having the ability to make it happen. You're not going to want to miss this episode on the Desire to Dream podcast. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, desire to dream. What do you mean? Take a good look at my life. Yeah, my future it gleams. Desire to dream. What do you mean? I cannot lose. Cause I got God on my team.
What's going on to my dreamers, believers, and high achievers? I'm your host, Lo Wilder. You're listening to the Desire to Dream podcast, where we turn your purpose into power and your dream into discipline. Man, I am glad to be back. I'm glad to had a wonderful week, had a long weekend with the 4th of July. Man, shout outs to all my veterans out there for allowing us to have, a safe place. Those are first responders, anybody that works in intelligent agencies and things of that sort. My wife and I was able to just kind of relax here at the house. We had went out to the community pool with the little ones, got to see them smile, get into the water. So it was a great weekend. I'm really excited because last week I started something very new, and that's my mortgage business full time. So I stepped away from my 6-figure sales job. I stepped away from my comfort zone so that I can walk into my calling. So today's podcast is called Trading Places, how I left my comfort zone and I'm walking into my calling. And this podcast is going to help some people. It's going to free you, at least mentally, maybe not physically, and maybe not in a position where you can make a change at this moment. But I guarantee you that by the end of this podcast, you're going to be inspired, empowered, and I'm going to give you the blueprint how you can go out and start living the life that you've always wanted to. So again, 82% of the world's population, 82% of the American population are going to jobs that they absolutely hate. One of the things that I realized these last couple years was that I was working 50 hours a week, 10 hours, 2-hour commute, and I was feeling really drained. Felt like when I got home, I didn't have enough energy for my children. I didn't have energy for my wife. I had a little bit of patience. So I was giving my family like the leftovers, and I was giving my 9 to 5, my business, the best. And I had my priorities mixed up because a part of my mantra is that I'm a devoted husband and father grounded in my faith. And I wanted to think about, am I really the devoted husband and the devoted father? Or am I this guy who's tired because I'm working 40, 50 hours a week, coming home exhausted, mentally drained, not wanting to deal with anybody? And I just wanted to kind of find an outlet to just kind of get away. And it was taking me away from my purpose. It was taking me away from my family. And I had to make a change, had to make a shift. Talked about it a few weeks ago in my podcast. I didn't realize that what I've been planning for the last couple of years will lead me to this point now. But truthfully, it was a medical situation that took place a few months ago that made me realize that it was time for me to make a shift and make a transition. And as a believer, as a man of faith, as a Christian, I was asking God for a sign. I said, Lord, what is it that I need to kind of cut back? What is it that you want me to really focus on? And I remember, in meditation, and I just heard the Spirit of the Lord kind of tell me, like, what more of a sign do you need than the fact that the company you're working for sold the company to another company? So I was like, wait a minute, that's my sign. the sign is right in front of my face. And a lot of times you can be blinded from your day to day and not really seeing the signs, not seeing what God or whatever it is that you believe in is trying to show you. It's right in your face. And it took this physical, experience where my health wasn't where it needed to be, ended up in the emergency room, where I was reflecting on my life and seeing if I was to die today, would I be satisfied with the life that I lived, or are there certain things that I left out there, that I was going to take to the grave with me? And one of my biggest fears is to die and be introduced to the person that God created me to be. And when I see that person, I don't recognize who they are, because I was living a life that was, orchestrated from people or my circumstances or my situations. And I really didn't tap in to my true purpose in life. So I know that I'm supposed to help people. So the podcast is one outlet. I speak to a lot of youth across the country and in the world about overcoming obstacles, overcoming adversity, goal setting, leadership, and even now into the sales space, business space, leadership space, where I'm going into corporations, companies, coaching one-on-one with people to help grow their business. And that's a part of my purpose. The podcast is a part of my purpose. Being a youth director at my church is a part of my purpose, is a part of my ministry. But my 9-to-5 job selling paint was just a place for me to develop the skills that I needed. So I've been in the paint industry for the last 14 years. And I would say the past 7 years, I realized that this wasn't what God created me to do, but I was in the place that I needed to be. And I was talking to a mentor because I was frustrated at this time about 7 years ago, wondering, what am I going to do? And I thought about walking away, quitting my job. And he told me, son, if you quit your job, then you're going to quit everything when things get hard. You're going to quit your marriage when it gets hard. You're going to quit on your children when it gets hard. You're going to quit on your everything that you love when things get hard. And I had to do the hard thing so that I can overcome it, so that I can become the person who I am today. And it's still a work in progress. Like I said at the top of this video, I was giving the leftovers to my family. So here I am now in a new situation. Okay, how do I make this adjustment and begin to walk in my purpose? So it's one of those things where, I'm a published author and I wrote a book, Desire to Dream. If you haven't read it, go ahead and get to the website, desiretodream.com, and order you a copy. But I created this book that gave me a blueprint. And at the time, I walked away from a Fortune 200 company. I made multiple 6 figures, bonus checks and salary. And I was doing really well. I was on the path to getting more promotions, but what it was doing, it was moving me away from my family. I was working extremely long hours, commuting, traveling, moving my family from house. Every 2 years, we were packing up and moving. And I realized this isn't a part of God's plan. So after not getting paid a 6-figure bonus check that I earned, I walked away. And when I walked away was the moment when I wrote my book. And I just wrote out my story, but I wrote out what God put in my heart. And I had to tap back in to what God shared with me. One of the things that I realized when I was in Atlanta, Georgia, was that God was going to show me what my next was when I got to Florida. When I got to Florida, we were building this house that we're living in right now. And I started working with a competitor company. And it was a scratch territory, which means that they didn't have a lot of history in sales. And my job was to grow the business, get more increased market share. And the goal was to get it to $2 million over the course of the next 12 to 24 months. I was on track. I was on pace. I had a phenomenal first year, second year, great year. And the company decided to switch and sell the company. Well, I realized like, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. I feel like I've served its purpose. One of the things that I needed to get out of that situation or get out of that experience was the fact that I was already an international speaker, but I never did international sales. So taking on this last assignment at my former employer, it gave me 2 years of international sales. I was selling with clients in the Bahamas and Aruba. So I was gaining this international exposure. I was going out and doing trainings. I was making connections with colleges and universities, business owners, giving them the same knowledge that I'm sharing with the youth and with professional people here in the States. I was doing it out there as well. And God was like, you served the purpose. Now I'm doing mortgage businesses and I'm looking to grow $100 million mortgage business. Now, for some people, they're like, yo, that's a very big goal. And it is. But I know I have the blueprint to build $100 million. Shoot, I had a blueprint to build $1 billion business. Honestly, when you have the blueprint for success, how to build teams, managing people, training and developing individuals, sales process, all this other experiences and exposure that I had in how to build teams with DISC assessments, I know what I have to do to create a multi-million dollar business. Now, with all this experience, why am I going to get a salary and work and build a multi-million dollar business for somebody else when I can do it for myself? So the thing about it, and this is what I wanted to share in today's podcast, is that for the most part, we are scared of leaving our 9 to 5. And when you have to be a full-time entrepreneur, you only eat what you kill. So there's no paycheck, there's no comfort zone, there's no safety net. Well, I know I'm getting paid on Friday. So you have to have a different mindset and discipline so that you can, one, create passive income and revenue that's coming in consistently, but also when you get money, you got to make sure that you're disciplined so you don't spend it all. And why I say that, because in the mortgage business, I can make $20,000 a month, but I may not have a sale, or I may not be able to close the deal for 45 days. So that $20,000 have to stretch for those 2.5 months. Still a decent living, but I have to find other ways. That's where the speaking business, the coaching, training, and development comes in place. But I also have a set salary, doing some speaking, and so I'm doing pretty well. My wife does well, so we're covered. But I wanted to share this because it started 7 years ago. This isn't something that just happened a few months ago. But 7 years ago, when God told me, like, you're not going to be doing this forever, I needed to tap into some of the experience that I got from some of my previous mentors, which was to create an emergency fund so that I can have 6 to 12 months of living expenses in case of an emergency or in case I decide to leave my job. So I was working I was managing a $2 million store at the time. I was probably I was probably about 31 years old. And I was about 31 years old. And I was managing a $2 million business at Sherwin-Williams. And I started working at Walgreens, where I worked at in high school. And I got a part-time job doing that. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I was working to get out of debt and to save money so that I can build this nest egg. Fast forward, my wife and I, now I got a family, I got children. That safety, that emergency fund, it gets larger because now I'm taking care of a family, I have a home. There's other things that you have to do. So I'm sharing that with you because many of you aren't happy where you are. Many of you probably have this great business idea, or you may want a promotion or shift different industries, go work for a different company, and you're like, You don't want to make that leap of faith because you don't have the financial resources to make that jump. And you're kind of concerned, man, I don't want to take this $20,000 loss. But what if you saved up the money and covered that $20,000 difference so that you can go and work at the job or create the business that you want that's going to give you fulfillment and a sense of purpose? Because ultimately, that's what we need to do. We have to create a life that is surrounded by purpose. When you don't live your life surrounded by purpose, there's an empty gap, a void. And a lot of people try to avoid it through drugs, alcohol abuse, because it's a constant reminder that they're not living their purpose in their life. So the first thing you have to do is, one, you have to figure out what is it that you absolutely want. It's your destiny. What is your place, destination? What is it that you want to do? What career? What business? Once you made that up in your mind, then you have to see, how much money do I need so that I can start that venture? Once you know that amount, then you have to start to reverse engineer, save up for that. And if you have a family, which you probably do, then chances are you're going to have to save up additional funds to cover those expenses. But it's not the end of the game. Most people underestimate 5 years, 2 years, and they don't understand what they can do in that time. The time is going to go by regardless. If you're, God willing, you're living that life. Trust me, 5 years goes by extremely quick. 2 years go by extremely quick. So the main thing you have to do is plan for your exit strategy. Once you do that, begin to spend the little bit of time that you have, instead of social media, instead of watching Netflix and binge watching, instead of, doing things that is distracting you from your purpose. Invest time, whether it's 5, 10 minutes, an hour, in that business or in the whatever it is that you want to do. Focus on developing your skills in that market or in that area, and develop that, and watch in 5 years how things can shift. It's not too late. It's not too late. I'm 39 years old. And I remember in college, someone said, you're probably going to shift in careers 7 times before you get to 55 years old. And I took that as insight rather than an insult, because the truth is that you're 20 years old and you don't really know what you want to do. So you go through life trying to figure it out. Well, wherever you are in your life right now, make a decision. What is it that I absolutely want? What is it that's going to bring joy? It's going to be more happiness in my life. It's going to be feeling more fulfillment. I'm going to have a sense of purpose. I'm going to be a lot nicer to my wife, to my children, or to my husband, whoever you are that's listening. What is it that you want to do? And begin to plan for that life. I made the leap of faith, and I'm telling y'all right now, I feel extremely lighter. The stress is down by 1,000%. I'm a lot happier. I'm also more energized and spending time with my children, with my wife. I'm not as moody, because I'm the type of person, when I'm under a lot of pressure, because I'm running a multi-million-dollar business, a youth ministry, starting another business, and all day long people say, how do you have time for all of that? Well, I'm juggling a lot of things at one time. But when I get home, I'm burnt out. And so now I've created a life where I can balance it out. And what I mean by balance, that means that I'm able to eliminate the things that was holding me behind my purpose, the thing that was holding me behind my calling. And trust me, I don't have any regrets, because everything that I've done up until this point has prepared me for what I'm about to enter and what I'm about to do. So your boy resigned about 2 weeks ago, and I'm a full-time mortgage professional, full-time speaker, business coach, and I'm also still doing my youth ministry at Truth Revealed International Ministries. So those are the things that I'm working on. Now I have a little bit more time where I can go back and make some revisions in my book, create a 2.0 version of the Desire to Dream. I can also begin working on the workbook that I wanted to do about 12 months ago and start working on a second book. So speaking, being, published author, all of these different things that bring out my gift is truly a part of God's plan and purpose in my life. And I know that with complete confidence. So I'm sharing that with you all. And hopefully you can feel my heart. You can feel that I care about this extremely. And I care about you that's on the other line, whether you're watching this in your car, at home, whatever the case may be. I want you to know that you're not going to be happy until you walk in your purpose. So that's what you have to work on. Challenge you by the end of this week. Begin thinking about what is it that you want. Tap into these episodes, because these next few episodes, I'm going to help unlock the block or the detour that is thrown, the roadblocks that's thrown your way. And we're going to be able to create a blueprint that's going to be relatable for you, and you can take what you need from it so that you can go out and do what you have to do. Because one of my lines in my mantra is that I'm an inspiration for future generations to live out their full potential. So you have untapped potential and greatness that's within you. I'm not this motivational speaker that's going to be yelling at you. That's not how I roll. That's not how I operate. I love Dr. Eric Thomas. He's one of my mentors. I've followed him for many, many years. I've done a lot of his, programs from, Game Changers. They got Next Level Speaking Academy. I mean, there's so many different things. I've done the flight assessment. Like, I'm a part of that whole community, but I'm not ET. But God also revealed to me that there's a community that is assigned to my voice that's not ET. So I need to do what I need to do in order to get through and to live my purpose. And I know that you have to do the same thing. So tap in. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Congratulations, because I believe that this is the beginning of your next. And I want to help you. I want to coach you. I want to mentor you, whatever I have to do to bless you, so I can be, activated in my full potential, so I can help you so that you can be the best version of yourself. So thanks once again. And for those that have been supporting me from day one, I love you. I appreciate you. I love everybody, man. God bless every single person that is watching and listening to this podcast, Desire to Dream. It's your boy, Low Wilder. Let's go, let's grow, and let's make a difference. So I'm signing out. Love y'all. Catch me on the next episode. Peace.